if I don't get enough salt, then I'm always cramping.
Ah, yes, that is myth number 5, right? That if you are...
Do you like my link there?
Yeah, it was really good. Segue. But yeah, if you are cramping and having issues with cramps, that it is sodium. And I think that has been sold so much. There's so many companies, not naming any, that their whole business model is built on sodium relates to cramping. And it really, the majority of the time, it is not sodium based.
Well, what is it then?
It is fatigue, typically, that you are not used to the level of ride that you're doing, that you have worked harder, or you've gone further, or you're pushing harder than you've pushed, and then you cramp. And obviously that always comes around certain other things. If you are riding longer, the chances of dehydration is greater, and the chances of lower sodium amounts is greater.
Yeah.
But it's more that you're not used to that level of volume or distance, more so than the fact that because if you did that distance regularly, you would probably find that you would have sufficient amounts of hydration, sodium amounts, and so on, and you'd be able to perform it regularly.
So when I go out in the summer and it's 35 degrees, which is never, and I get back from a ride and I'm absolutely caked in salt, if I cramped on that ride, it probably isn't because I didn't get enough salt. It's probably because I just did more than I can handle.
I would probably say it's a contributing factor, but if you are covered in salt, there's certain science to suggest that everybody has their own sodium loss rate. Some people are more of a sweaty salter than others, and we test that across the board for all EF riders to see who is more at risk than others. But just because they have a higher loss rate does not mean that they're always going to cramp. In fact, one of our riders with the lowest salt rate, one of our riders with the lowest sodium loss rate in the team has some of the most cramps. And we find that cramping is also individualized, that some people are more prone to it than others. And there's no rhyme or reason. It's just the case. So, not to make people feel sad about it if they get lots of cramps, but we have people in the thousands of milligrams per liter loss rate and they never cramp. But then we have people in 100 and something milligrams and they've cramped quite regularly.
So if you are one of those people who are cramping regularly, what potentially can you do?
I think you need to look at lots of factors. That there are so low carbohydrate status can impact your ability to have cramps.
So as in you haven't had enough carbs?
Yeah, you haven't had enough carbs, you don't have enough muscle glycogen, or you don't have enough carbohydrate in the ride, because that's going to impact fatigue and increase fatigue.
Right.
So the muscle will become more tired. Hydration status overall, generally if you are dehydrated, not including sodium, can affect it.
So actually just not drinking enough, excluding the fact of whether you're putting electrolytes in or not.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Obviously, there is other factors of that you shouldn't just keep drinking loads and loads of water, because you get hyponatremia where you dilute yourself. So that is just a warning to people not to drink tons of water suddenly.
Yeah.
But and maybe your training program is just not adequate.
Could it even be something like bike fit? Could you be in a compromised position which is putting too much fatigue on a muscle, for example?
Sure. Think about TTs or something, or anything really. You get a different bike, you start using slightly different muscle groups or muscle groups slightly differently because the fit is different.
Yeah, and those muscles haven't developed as much as the ones which allow you to typically ride for 5 hours.
Exactly. Or somebody, I mentioned a TT, someone starts going on the skis and they're in that hunched over position. They start to ride in that position longer than they ever had, and they start to get cramps in their adductor or hip flexor or something. It's just because they're not used to being in that position and working those muscle groups. It'd be the same if you went to the gym loads. You get those DOMs that ache the next day, and then you tense your calf and it's suddenly cramps up.
Ping.
Yeah, ping.
Well, I think that will actually surprise a lot of people. I think so many people just assume I need more salts, I need electrolytes, I need more salts, I need electrolytes.
What would happen if you took on too much salt?
So if you start to, this is the thing, right? That I think people have been so scaremongered into salt, sodium, that they then just whack the strongest electrolytes they can into drinks. But that changes osmolality of the drink, and it can then slow down that digestion process, and then can actually cause you to get stomach issues, GI distress, slow down. And in turn, that'll also affect your performance, because if you slow down digestion, not only will you get stomach issues, but also you won't be able to perform as well.
Interesting.
So it's not, you just want to find a middle ground. If you generally have an all right amount of sodium across the board, that you should be fine.
Yeah.